The dinner table felt like a courtroom long before anyone raised their voice. My mom set the plates down with that tight smile she always wore when company came over. My dad sat at the head of the table, silent, pretending the TV wasn't muted behind him. My older brother, Zach, leaned back like he owned the house, like he owned all of us. There were cousins, an aunt, and my mom's best friend from church, enough witnesses for the humiliation my family loved serving with dessert. I was 27, dressed in a plain sweater, still smelling like cold air from the parking lot. I had come straight from work, or at least that's what they thought. My mom had told everyone I was still figuring things out. She said it sweetly, like it was concern, but it was a knife. The conversation stayed polite for about 5 minutes. Weather, football, someone's new car. Then Zach turned the spotlight on me, right on schedule. "So," he said, tapping his fork against his glass, "how's the little job going?" It wasn't a question. It was bait. I kept my voice calm. "It's fine." My mom laughed softly. "He's so modest. He never tells anyone anything." My aunt smiled in sympathy. "You'll find your path, honey." Zach smirked. "He already found it. He's just walking it very slowly." Everyone chuckled. My dad didn't even look at me. He stared at his plate like it might save him from having to defend his own son. I'd been the family's background character my whole life. Zach was the golden boy. Varsity sports, scholarships, loud confidence. When he failed, it was bad luck. When I succeeded, it was just temporary. My mom poured more gravy and said the line she always used when she wanted to hurt without sounding cruel. "At least Zach understands ambition." There it was, the comparison, the punch. Zach leaned forward. "Tell him what you do again. You answer emails, make spreadsheets, something like that?" I swallowed, not because I was ashamed, because I was tired. I looked around that table and realized they still saw me as the kid who used to wash dishes while Zach got praised for taking out the trash once a month. My mom nodded toward my cousin. "He could learn from you. You've got a real career." My cousin's eyes flicked to me, awkward. "Yeah, totally." Zach's smile widened. "It's okay, little bro. Not everyone's meant to be a leader." Something inside me clicked. Not rage, not sadness, just clarity. I set my fork down carefully. "Zach," I said, "why do you always do this?" The room quieted. My mom's expression changed instantly, like a mask tightening. "Don't start." Zach lifted his eyebrows. "Do what? I'm just trying to help." I leaned back, meeting his eyes. "No, you're trying to remind everyone that you think you're better than me." My dad cleared his throat, but said nothing. My mom's voice sharpened. "You're being dramatic. This is dinner." Zach chuckled. "He's sensitive. Always has been." My mom looked at the guests. "He's had a hard time adjusting to adulthood." I felt the heat rise in my chest, but I didn't yell. I didn't storm out. I did something else. I smiled. And that was the first time my brother looked nervous. "Okay," I said softly. "You want to talk about adulthood?" Zach shrugged. "Sure." I glanced at my mom, then back at him. "My company," I said, "was valued at $18 million this morning." No one moved. No one breathed. The fork in my aunt's hand froze mid-air. Zach blinked once, like his brain refused to process the sentence. My mom's laugh came out too loud, too fake. "Stop! Don't joke like that." I didn't flinch. "I'm not joking." My dad finally looked up. His eyes were wide, scared, like he just realized he didn't know who I was anymore. Zach's face twitched. "What company?" I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. Then I slid it across the table. On the screen was an email subject line from that morning. "Series A term sheet finalized." Zach stared at it, jaw tight. My mom's voice dropped into a whisper. "Where did you get that?" I looked at her calmly. "I built it, without any of you." The room was silent, but I could feel it. Not pride, greed. Because in my family, success wasn't celebrated,
It was claimed, and I had just painted a target on my back.
For about 10 seconds after I said 18 million, the whole table sat in shock. It was the kind of silence that makes you hear tiny things, like the hum of the refrigerator and the faint clink of someone's ring against a glass. Then my mom recovered first. She reached for her smile again, but it didn't fit right this time. "Well," she said brightly, "look at that. See, I always told you he had potential." I stared at her. She had spent years calling me lost, lazy, behind. Now she was trying to rewrite history in real time. Zach forced a laugh. 18 million valuation doesn't mean 18 million in cash. I nodded. True. His shoulders relaxed, like he'd found a way out. Then I added, but it does mean serious investors, lawyers, audits, people who don't play games. Zach's smile stiffened again. My dad finally spoke. "Son, why didn't you tell us?" There was something almost pleading in his voice, like he wanted to believe he hadn't failed me. I answered honestly, "Because you didn't ask, and when you did notice me, it was only to compare me to Zach." My aunt cleared her throat. "Well, this is wonderful. Congratulations." My mom squeezed her hand, acting proud. "Isn't it? My boys are both doing so well." Both. The word felt insulting. Zach watched me like I was a puzzle he needed to solve quickly. He wasn't happy for me. He was calculating. After dessert, I stood up to leave. I didn't want to celebrate with people who only loved me when I was useful. My mom followed me to the hallway. Her voice turned gentle, syrupy. "Honey, you know we're proud, right? Zach is proud too." I shrugged, putting on my coat. "Sure." She stepped closer. "You should bring Zach by your office. He's always been good with business. Maybe he can help you scale." There it was. The hook. The reach. I looked at her. No. Her face tightened for half a second. Then the smile came back. "Why not? He's family." I slid my keys into my pocket. "Family doesn't mean access." She opened her mouth, then closed it. I could tell she wasn't used to boundaries. Zach appeared behind her, hands in his pockets. "Come on, man, don't be weird. I'm your brother." I met his eyes. "You've never treated me like one." His jaw flexed. "That's not fair." I laughed softly. Nothing at that table has ever been fair. I walked out to my car and drove home with my heart pounding, not from fear, but from the strange realization that for the first time, I had power in the family. And power changes everything. The next morning, my phone started buzzing before I even got to my office. Text from Mom. "Proud of you. Let's talk about how we can support you." Text from Dad. "Can we meet? I want to understand." Text from Zach. "Need to chat. Big opportunity." I ignored them all. I had meetings, investors calling, product updates, a team depending on me. My real life didn't have room for family drama. Around noon, my assistant walked in, pale. She said, "There's a call for you. Some guy named Eric Stone says he's an investor and that you promised him exclusivity." My stomach dropped. "I promised what?" I asked. She held out a sticky note. "He said your brother gave you your personal contact and told you already agreed to a partnership." My throat went dry. I took the phone. "Hello?" I said carefully. A confident voice answered. "Finally, I was starting to think you were avoiding me, man. Your brother said you were excited about my offer." I gripped the desk. "My brother spoke to you?" "Yeah, we've been emailing for 2 weeks. He showed me documents, revenue projections, said you wanted to move fast." My heart pounded. "What email address have you been using?" Eric paused, then read it out. It wasn't mine. It was close, though. 1 letter off. I felt cold all over. Someone had made a fake email in my name. Someone had been pitching investors using my company and my reputation. And I already knew exactly who had done it. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on my couch with my laptop open, refreshing my inbox like it was a crime scene. I searched every folder, every alias, every hidden rule. Nothing. But Eric Stone's words kept replaying in my head. We've been emailing for 2 weeks. I hadn't even told my family the name of my company. I hadn't posted about valuation. I hadn't bragged. Yet somehow, Zach was out there pretending to be me. By morning, I was running on caffeine and anger. I called the only person I trusted with this kind of mess, Kristen Hale, my old friend from college, now a corporate attorney who lived for catching fraud. When she answered, her voice was calm. "You sound like you're about to commit a felony." "I might," I said, "but I'd rather do this legally." 15 minutes later, Kristen walked into my office with a laptop bag in zero patience. "Start from the beginning," she said. I told her everything. The dinner, the 18 million, the sudden texts, Eric Stone. Kristen's eyes narrowed. "Your brother created a spoof identity. That's not just family drama, that's criminal." I swallowed. "Can we prove it?" Kristen smiled like she'd been waiting her whole career for that question. "Oh, we can prove it." She asked for 2 things. First, access to my company email logs. Second, my permission to contact Eric Stone directly. Within an hour, Kristen was on a call with Eric while I sat beside her, listening. Kristen's voice was sweet, professional. "Mr. Stone, could you forward every email exchange you've had with the sender?" Eric hesitated. "I don't want problems." Kristen replied, "You already have problems. We just want to solve them." Minutes later, an email came in with attachments. Kristen opened them, and her eyebrows lifted. "They're not even careful," she muttered. The fake email address was designed to look like mine. Same name, same domain style, just 1 extra character. But the real mistake was inside the thread. Kristen pointed at the metadata. "See this? The emails were sent from an IP address located 15 minutes from your parents' house." My blood went ice cold. Kristen leaned back. "So unless your company's investor pitching is happening from your mom's dining room, we have our first proof." My phone buzzed. Zach calling. I didn't answer. A minute later, Zach text. "Stop ignoring me. You're messing up something huge." Kristen watched me. He knows he got caught. I exhaled. What else can we find? Kristen clicked through the attachments Eric sent. There were PDFs of revenue projections, partnership drafts, even a signature page. Then she froze. "Oh, wow," she said softly. "What?" I asked. She zoomed in on the signature. It looked like mine. Similar slant, similar loops, but it wasn't mine. It was a copy, a traced version. Kristen looked at me. "Your brother forged your signature." I felt dizzy. On what? Kristen scrolled to the top. It was a promissory agreement, an investor contract. My name was on it, committing to conditions I'd never agreed to. Kristen's voice turned sharp. "This is fraud, identity theft, and investor solicitation under false pretenses. If Eric wired money, your brother is finished." My stomach dropped. Did he wire money? Kristen clicked through the email chain. Then she found it. A screenshot. Wire transfer confirmation. Amount $250,000. Recipient, a business account under a name I didn't recognize. Kristen leaned in. "That account isn't yours." "No," I whispered, "but I think I know whose it is." Zach's girlfriend, Maddie, owned a small consulting LLC. I'd heard Zach brag about using her account to dodge taxes. My hand shook. Kristen closed the laptop slowly. "Okay, we don't confront yet." I stared at her. "Why not? I want to go to my mom's house right now." Kristen held up a finger. "Because right now you're angry. They'll lie. They'll cry. They'll guilt you." She leaned forward. "What we do instead is collect everything, build a dossier, then we end this in one move." Over the next 2 days, Kristen worked like a machine. She pulled domain records. The fake email was created using a phone number linked to Zach. She dug through metadata and server logs and confirmed every message originated from the same area, my parents' neighborhood.
She got Eric Stone to send a signed statement saying Zach presented himself as my authorized representative. And then she printed it all, not digital, paper. A thick folder of evidence. When she slid it across my desk, it felt like my entire childhood in one heavy stack. "This is what ends him," she said. My phone buzzed again. "Mom, we need to talk. This family is getting worried about you." Kristen snorted. "They're worried their payday is disappearing." I looked at the folder. "What's the next step?" Kristen's eyes went cold. Confession. That night, I drove to my parents' house. I sat in the car for a full minute before getting out. The porch light glowed like it always did, but it didn't feel warm anymore. Inside, my mom rushed to hug me. "There you are. We've been worried sick." Zach sat on the couch, arms folded, smiling like I was late to my own execution. My dad stood behind him like a shadow. Mom poured tea. "We just want peace," she said. "We're family." I sat down slowly and placed my phone on the table, face down. Recording on. "Then tell me the truth," I said. Zach tilted his head. "About what?" "About the fake email," I said. "About Eric Stone." My mom's eyes widened. "What are you talking about?" Zach laughed. "You're paranoid." I kept my voice calm. "Zach, I have proof. I just want to hear you explain why you did it." His jaw clenched. "Fine, you want the truth? I would have wasted the opportunity." Mom gasped. "Zach!" But he didn't stop. "You've always been the quiet one," snapped Zach, "always playing victim. I did what needed to be done." Mom stepped in front of him like a shield. "He was trying to help your future." I stared at her. "By forging my signature?" Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. Zach leaned down close to me, voice low and cruel. "You're not gonna do anything," he whispered. "You need us, and if you fight me, I'll destroy you online." I sat back slowly. Confession captured. And for the first time, Zach had no idea he just signed his own downfall with his mouth.
The strike hit the next morning. I was halfway through a meeting when my phone lit up with a number I didn't recognize. Fraud department. I stepped out into the hallway and answered. "Sir," the voice said, "we received documentation suggesting unauthorized financial activity connected to your identity. We're opening an investigation and placing an immediate hold on the receiving account." Kristen had promised me the bank would move fast, but hearing it out loud made my hands go numb. A minute later, Zach's texts poured in like panic. "Zach, what did you do?" "Zach, my card is declining." "Zach, call me now." "Zach, you're going too far." "Zach, fix this." Fix this, like I broke something that belonged to him? My mom called right after. I answered, and her voice exploded. "What did you do to your brother?" I kept my tone even. "I reported a crime." She went silent, then switched to tears. "He's your brother. Families don't do this." I almost laughed. Families don't forge signatures either. "Mom," I said, "Zach stole under my name." Her voice shook. "We were desperate." "Desperate for what?" I asked. She hesitated. Then she whispered the truth. "Your father's retirement account. It's gone." My chest tightened. "What?" She rushed. "Zach said he could double it. We trusted him. It was supposed to be temporary. Then you said 18 million at dinner, and Zach thought we could borrow against your success." Borrow. Another pretty word for theft. I ended the call. By afternoon, Zach launched his next weapon. He went public. A tweet thread with my name and my company. He called me greedy, unstable, claimed my business was shady, told investors to run. Kristen read it and smiled. "Good." I stared. "Good?" "She just made it public," she said. "Now we respond publicly with evidence. He'll bury himself." We prepared a short company statement. No emotions, no family drama, just facts. Fraud impersonation detected.
Unauthorized email account, forged signature, bank investigation active. We attached screenshots, email metadata, IP location, signature comparison, wire transfer confirmation. Within minutes, Zach's thread collapsed under replies. Proof beats rage every time. That evening, my dad came to my office alone. He looked smaller than I remembered. He sat down and whispered, "Your mother doesn't know what to do." I didn't soften. She chose him. My dad's hands trembled. "He's your brother." I leaned forward. "And I was your son." He flinched like I slapped him. I slid the evidence folder across the desk. "Dad," I said quietly, "this is what he did." He opened it, read it, and his face crumpled in shame. Because for the first time, he understood something terrifying. Zach wasn't just cruel. Zach was dangerous.
2 days later, Kristen scheduled the meeting. Not at my parents' house, not at my office. Neutral ground. A private conference room at a law firm downtown. My mom showed up dressed like she was going to church. Zach wore a blazer like he still believed he could talk his way out of anything. My dad looked like he hadn't slept. Kristen sat beside me with a tablet on the table. Recording on. Zach tried to laugh. "So this is a legal ambush? Real classy." Kristen didn't blink. "This is a fraud meeting." My mom clutched her purse. "We don't need lawyers. We need family." Kristen's voice was ice. "Your family committed a crime." Zach's smile vanished. "You're exaggerating." I slid a printout across the table. "Then explain this." The email chain with Eric Stone. Zach glanced at it, then pushed it back. "I don't know what that is." Kristen tapped the screen. "Domain records, phone number, IP logs, forged signature, wire transfer, signed investor statement." My mom's face went white. "Zach!" he snapped. "Mom, shut up." Then he looked at me. "You're really going to destroy your own brother over a misunderstanding?" It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was theft. My mom started crying. "We were desperate." Kristen didn't move. "Desperation isn't a legal defense." Zach leaned back, jaw tight. "What do you want?" I didn't hesitate. "My name cleared, my company protected, and you out of my life." My mom gasped. "No!" I raised my hand. "Enough." Kristen slid a settlement document toward Zach. "Return the funds, admit wrongdoing, cease contact, no public statements, restraining conditions." Zach scanned it, disbelief turning to anger. "You're serious?" "Dead serious," I said. He looked around the room like someone would save him. No one did. Finally, he whispered, "If I sign this, what happens to me?" Kristen answered calmly, "If you sign, you avoid criminal escalation. If you don't, we proceed with criminal prosecution support and civil damages." Zach's hands trembled as he picked up the pen. My mom cried harder. My dad stared down at the table, and I sat there steady, because for the first time in my life, the dinner table had no power. The law did. Zach signed. His hand shook so badly the pen scratched the paper like it hated him too. When he finished, he slammed the pen down and stared at me with pure bitterness. "You happy now?" he muttered. I didn't answer. I wasn't happy. I was free. Kristen collected the documents like she was locking a monster back in its cage. "We'll file this with the bank and Eric Stone's legal team," she said. "Any violation triggers immediate legal action." My mom stood up, desperate. "Please, you can't do this. He's your brother." I looked at her. "He stopped being my brother when he forged my name." Her face twisted like she didn't recognize me. Good. She never recognized me before either. Zach stormed out, shoulder-checking my dad on the way. When the door shut, the room went quiet. My dad whispered, "I should have stopped this years ago." "Yes," I said, "you should have." He flinched but didn't argue. My mom wiped her tears. "You're punishing your whole family." I stood up slowly. "No, I'm ending you." Her mouth fell open. I'm ending the version of my life where you insult me, use me, then call it love. Kristen touched my arm. Time to go. As we walked out, my mom called after me, voice cracking. What about forgiveness? I stopped at the door. Forgiveness, I said, doesn't mean access. Outside, the city air felt sharp and clean. That night, my phone was quiet for the first time in weeks. No threats, no guilt texts, no fake concern. Kristen called once. Bank confirmed, investor satisfied, your name is cleared. I exhaled. So it's over. Kristen paused. The legal part is over. The emotional part will take longer. I stared out at the skyline lights. Then I did something small but powerful. I blocked my mom. I blocked my dad. I blocked Zach. Not out of hate, out of closure. And a week later, we signed a new partnership contract. A clean one, a real one. No lies, no family, just the future. A month after the dinner, I drove through my old neighborhood. Not to visit, not to reconcile, just to remind myself what I survived. My parents' house looked exactly the same. Same curtains, same driveway, same porch light. But I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just distance. I remembered sitting at that dinner table, being mocked like my life was a joke. I remembered my mom's voice, sweet and cruel. I remembered my dad's silence. I remembered Zach's confident smirk. And I realized something. They weren't powerful. I was just trained to believe they were. That evening, my company hosted a small event. Not flashy, just a gathering for my team and early supporters. I stood on a small stage, looking at faces that actually respected me. No guilt, no manipulation, just pride. I didn't tell them the family story. They didn't need my pain to celebrate my success. I just said, thank you for trusting me. Later, I went up to my apartment. It wasn't a penthouse, not yet, but it was mine. Clean, quiet, peaceful. I stepped onto the balcony and looked at the skyline. I thought about the late nights building my company while my family treated me like a failure. Then I thought about the shift after that dinner. That night, I stopped begging to be loved, and I started demanding respect. My phone buzzed once. Unknown number. Zach, you ruined my life. I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed a line. I didn't ruin your life. I protected mine. I didn't send it. He didn't deserve even my words. I blocked the number. And that was it. No more drama, no more back and forth. I went inside, poured a glass of water, and sat at my desk. On the wall was a framed print of our first prototype. Ugly, simple, imperfect, but real. I opened my laptop and reviewed the next quarter's goals. Expansion, hiring, new contracts. Outside, the city lights shimmered like a promise. And for the first time in my life, I understood what success really meant. Not money, not validation. Freedom. That dinner wasn't the end. It was the beginning. And this time, the story belonged to me.